Hello everyone, my name is Nick and it's time for the 2-week roundup again, which happens once every 2 weeks, where we look at the last gameplay videos and try and rate them in at order of top 6. But this one, with the last one before Christmas I believe, but this video might last ever so slightly longer than normal because we squeezed in 2 extra videos this time. To pinball tables on the PlayStation 4, which I've recently got. So hooray, and in the new year we'll probably look at some more hardcore PlayStation 4 games. But no further ado, pinball tables we looked at first of all, both from the Pinball Arcade from Series 5. PlayStation 3 first of all. I can't remember which one we did first, but one of the tables we looked at was No Fear Dangerous Sports by Farsight in 2016. Basically, it's based on the No Fear Sports range, which is a US clothing company. On the PlayStation 1 I previously did No Fear Downhill Mountain Biking, which was quite cool. This table was pretty cool as well, a number of different ramps, but it's based on a lot of extreme sports like skydiving, base jumping and all that sort of thing. It's an okay table, it's not one of my favourites, but there's quite a lot of ramps to hit, so if you miss one thing you're bound to hit another thing, and it's quite good. It's a welcome addition to Season 5. I don't really do extreme sports myself, so this pinball table is probably the closest I'm ever going to get to it, I guess. Do you do extreme sports? Well, worth checking out the table, and you're not going to get a broken neck or die playing it unless you got an electric shock or something. But then check your wiring. Yeah, and the second table we had a look at was Judge Dredd. Yes, Farsight again, 2016, based on the character of Judge Dredd from DC, 2000 AD comics. There we go. Judge Dredd is a character that reminds you a bit of RoboCop, but RoboCop come afterwards. Basically, there's just mega cities around the earth because there's been some sort of disaster, and these judges go around and they proclaim law and the sentencing all in one go, so no need for any lawyers. But the table itself is okay. It's a little bit I wouldn't say messy. There's a lot going on in this table. Quite cartoony. I would prefer like red and black's an additional Judge Dredd character. But yeah, it's quite good. There's different like story modes you can do. 2 different bits of a gameplay, like a super game or normal game, which is good. In the super game you get multi-ball straight away and have to keep those balls in. In the other one it's more mission based. More interesting I think than No Fear Dangerous Sports, so is a welcome addition. Graphics is good and the physics of Pinball Arcade are always top notch. If you haven't decided yet if you want Season 5 in the Pinball Arcade, if you've got PlayStation 4, I'd buy it on that straight away. PlayStation 3, yeah, maybe the same, or maybe wait till you upgrade, but pretty good. Yes, and there's 2 tables we looked at on the PlayStation 4. Hurrah! I'm not sure that's going to happen every week, because it is a timing issue there, because I was up against it anyway. But we'll look at it anyway. So, yeah, PlayStation 4, a Pinball Arcade Tales of the Arabian Nights, which comes free, so it was well worth downloading that. Probably won't do the other Tales of Pinball Arcade on the PlayStation 4 that I've already reviewed on the PlayStation 3, only because you have to pay for them again, which is a bit of a con, although it being half price. So yeah, Tales of the Arabian Nights, a really cool table, well worth downloading for free. It's a Persia theme, where you must get multi-balls, collect jewels to rescue the princess. There's harem bonuses. There's this really cool Aladdin's lamp spinning round, and you do battle with the blue genie at the top of the playfield. Lighting on the PlayStation 4 versions are a little bit better than the PlayStation 3, but you probably could have guessed that. And hopefully in the future, not saying it's going to be January, maybe February, I'll be able to bring you those in 60 frames per second. Not saying that you have to view them in 60 frames a second if you've got slow internet speed. If you want to watch it in 340p, that's absolutely fine, but I just want to give choice. There we go. And the next one we looked at, Zen Pinball 2 by Zen Studios, is Sorcerer's Lair, one of my favourite tables of all time on that system there. The gap between PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 in the Zen Pinball tables is a lot shorter, well, a lot less than it is in the Pinball Arcade, because they're going for realism, and these are like cartoony fantasy tables, but a really great table, worth checking that one out. If you bought all the tables on, or any tables on the PlayStation 3, you get them for free on the PlayStation 4. Brilliant. I don't know why that should be. Maybe Pinball Arcade Farsight had to develop them more to the change, or maybe they're just money hungry. You make your decision. Right, okay, so that was a bit longer than usual, but let's come to the main event, the top 6. Yeah, in 6th place this time. I thought this game was going to be a bit better, so I was a little bit disappointed. In 6th place was, I put, personally, you might disagree with this order, but I put 6th place Mike Tyson Boxing on the Game Boy Advance by Ubisoft in 2002. Everyone's favourite boxer from Days Gone Past, and ear biter, he might beat ears as well. This game's a bit disappointing because there's a lot of options there, a lot of characters to select, unlockables. The graphics are good, it's got an isometric top-down view of the fighting, but sounds okay as well, but the gameplay is very, very limited. And unlike other fighting games, once you hit the boxer, they lose a bit of energy from the bars at the top, but they replenish themselves, making the game last longer than it really should do. Not many moves, dodging and slugging. Colourful characters though, it's quite vibrant in that respect, but in terms of longevity for playing the game, it's not one I'm really going to go back to anytime soon. May very well be covering other boxing games on the Game Boy Advance in the future, definitely the Spectrum. I think they've been recommended Frank Bruno's Boxing and Barry McGuigan, which I put on my list. When I add a game to the list, not necessarily saying I'm going to cover it in the next couple of weeks, but we'll get to it eventually, because the Spectrum list in particular is huge. And in 5th place then, I put another Game Boy Advance game. It's NASCAR Heat 2002 by Infogrames in 2002 as well. So the Game Boy Advance games come 6th and 5th this time. It's based on the NASCAR series, so you race on circuits and ovals in qualifying sessions and then races. Should have been a good game. It's got all the bases there. It's like a big evolution from Super Sprint, but the view, you're too tight into the view, so you have to turn into corners before you can actually see them, which hinders the playability greatly, I think. I did get better as I played the game. Admittedly, I did find the ovals a lot easier than the course tracks, although they was quite wide. But yeah, ovals, you know when the bend's coming up, so you can just turn. But if they'd made it a little bit further away, I think it would have been a winner, because the music's good, handling isn't too bad, but yeah, it's left me a bit underwhelmed. NASCAR 2002. Don't go out of your way to pick it up. If you see it really cheaply or something, or have an emulator, then it might be worth picking up then, but doesn't go down in history as a super game. And in 4th place, which I struggled where to put this one, to be honest with you, because it's quite an old one. But in 4th place I put Formula 1 on the ZX Spectrum 48K. I think it's originally designed for the 16K, published by Spirit Software in 1984, and later re-released by Mastertronic, and it might have sold a few extra then. But it's in an era of similar games like Checkered Flag and Pole Position, where you take a cockpit view, you have a Formula 1 car, oddly on a white road here, and you drive around a track. No championship here, it's individual tracks, and to qualify then you get your grid position and then you're off and running. Unlike Checkered Flag, it does have a race element, which Checkered Flag didn't, but I still prefer Checkered Flag. Games that come later, Continental Circus and Pole Position as well, and Super Monaco Grand Prix. But the problem with this one is playability again, otherwise I would have definitely had it in the top 3. Graphics are okay, the scenery is very, very sparse, but very rarely can you complete a race, or I couldn't, because you'll have a crash. And that's not because of your driving, crashing into things in front, it's vehicles that crash behind you. Now you can see the cars in your mirrors occasionally, so try to avoid an action, but as soon as it just touches you by the narrowest of pixels, you're left spinning off. So really the main enjoyment of this game comes through the qualifying to see if you can get pole position, which is a bit of a shame. So it's an okay game, Formula 1, it's good for historic value, but hindered a bit with a few flaws, so in 4th place. So yes, in 6th place then we put Mike Tyson's Boxing by Ubisoft in 2002. 5th place NASCAR Heat, also in 2002 by Infogrames. Both of those on the Game Boy Advance. And in 4th place on the ZX Spectrum 48K Formula 1 by Spirit Software, later by Mastertronic in 1984. So the top 3 then, are they better than 6, 5 and 4? Well, they must be, because this is like an ordering system. But if you disagree with those, then by all means put your choices below. Now in 3rd place, I didn't think this game was too bad, but from the comments there, it doesn't seem to compare very well with the arcade versions, which admittedly I never played. So that's why comments are always important. But 3rd place, Bomb Jack, I put on the Commodore Amiga by Elite Software in 1988. You control this character, must float around the screen by doing huge jumps and collecting all the bombs without getting hit by the enemy. Now, I've never been very good at this game. I didn't think the music was too bad, but as commented on that video, it powers into insignificance compared to the quality of the arcade version. Be quite interested to see what this looks like on the ZX Spectrum at some point, because I think it may have had a sequel as well. I might have got that wrong, but yeah, I didn't mind it, but it's quite lacking. The space presses why I'm not very good at it on this version. The space you have to play with isn't very big, but it's okay for what it is. But so 3rd place, Bomb Jack could have easily come 4th by Elite Software there at 1988 there. And in 2nd place, I have a big jump in the playability now. These top 2 games I enjoyed quite a lot more than the other ones, which is sometimes how it works. But in 2nd place was Zany Golf on the Commodore Amiga by Electronic Arts in 1988. It's a crazy miniature golf sort of game. Takes a little bit of getting used to, but has a really nice retro feel. Only has 9 holes, which is bit of a drawback, but there is a bonus hole as well if you can get to the end there. As I say, it takes a bit of getting used to. I managed to complete about 4 holes. The 4th hole I got to had a like pimple element, which I found actually super tricky. But yeah, good music to it. It's got a little bit addictive, but it's a bit of a party game really. It's much more fun playing it with 3 or 4 of your friends there. Playing it on your own, it just feels a little bit sad, but it's good to have in 2nd place. Zany Golf isn't too zany. Oddly enough, you play with a red golf ball. I don't know why that would be, but all normal things there. Hit the ball through windmills, get the ball in a hole that's covered by a jumping hamburger, retracting walls, taking rebounds there. So yeah, well worth a look. And in 1st place, I've put Pang on the ZX Spectrum, 128K this time by Ocean in 1990, based on the arcade coin-up. Now, quite a while ago I reviewed this on the Commodore Amiga, and that's the version I played pretty much the most, and I really like this game. The ZX Spectrum 128K, well, it's a fantastic conversion, I'd say. I feared the most when I booted this up to play it, but it's absolutely awesome. There's no flickering with the animation, which I was expecting to see. Colour bleed, there isn't any. Quite often with the Spectrums, it hasn't got too many colours to play with, and the reds and purples are quite garish, but it didn't clash at all. It's quite easy on your eye. You have to shoot balloons basically to oblivion. Once you shot the big balloon, it goes to smaller balloons, and thereafter power-ups like a gun to blast that with, and your main weapon normally is a gun. Sorry, a harpoon. 1 to 2 players, very Japanesey in style, but yeah, it's awesome. Music is great. Moves really well, loads really fast as well comparatively, and a really good game. So if you've got a Spectrum 128K or emulator, do check out Pang, because it's a lot better than I was expecting, and I guess what you may be expecting as well. So check out that review. Awesome. So in 3rd place this time we had Bomb Jack on the Commodore Amiga by Elite Software in 1988. 2nd place Zany Golf by Electronic Arts in 1988 again. And in 1st place Pang by Ocean Software in 1990. Hurrah! Well, I hope you like watching the games in this 2-week period. I do appreciate your comments, and I'm pleased somehow I managed to get the PlayStation 4 2 videos out as well as their bonus ones. As I say, they take a long time to upload those, so not saying I'll be able to do those every 2 weeks. It's a bit tight, but we'll see how we go. Hurrah! And till next time then, take good care of yourself, have a wonderful weekend, and goodbye.
Goodbye.